This was our first use of indoor land-based or terrestrial scanning. The scanning was actually done with a video camera. We used a Insta 360 1X. But even stepping back into prior to October of 2018, my first test, even before equipment was in this building, the building was enclosed and steel was still being erected, was just to walk the job and take numerous pictures with a handheld smartphone, which wasn't really even high resolution, but I kept taking them often as I was walking. I want to say I was taking them every 3 or 4 seconds as I was walking. And when I learned I could take a composite of images and generate a point cloud, we worked with Mani Golpavar at Reconstruct to say, hey, we're not allowed to fly drones here. Could we in fact just take pictures and document a plant? At that time we were looking for documentation prior to slab pour, but also sequencing of how piping and so on would go in. Now in fact I can go to an example of that. If you go to the MES level here, these are images that we took that were on site. Let me just turn the model off so you can see the camera view. When I turn the model off, you can see it looks like noisy point clouds. And if you go into one of these images, let me try to get into one of them here. You can see it's a congested area with lots of boxes and pumps being installed. Kind of the neat feature about this, once you get the alignment done correctly, and remember we're aligning pictures generating point clouds to a model. And so if you turn the model on and you show the BIM overlay, I can then fade the model by it's a sliding scale that shows percentage. And then I also have orange dots show each day of capture, so I can move forward and backward in time. Right now I'm in March of 2019. If I wanted to jump up to April to show more progress, I could in that same view. So let's kind of summarize what I'm looking at here. I'm looking at a model with a point cloud overlay, similar to many point cloud overlay tools that Trimble and Autodesk offer in Faro Scene. But the difference here is that this point cloud was generated purely with just a handheld camera, not a sophisticated instrument. So let me turn off the models so you guys can see this is just a picture at a point that I went into what's called a frustrum. If I exit that image, then I get the point cloud, which may look a little bit noisy. Remember, this was in 2019. We were experimenting in 2018, and then in the spring of 2019 we were so it looks very noisy, but really considering it's a handheld camera, we're spending under $500 with this instrument walking around the plant. And then doing this overlay, which we use for quality control, where the pipe's placed like we thought. And eventually we experimented with sequencing with doing 4D, which is what the blue bars are down here. But the field found value in this for doing quality control and documentation. They have pins, and we've since evolved, but the pin tools show you where you're looking at in terms of like if you want to place a pin and call this a pipe, you can pick a point and place a pin. Here's an example of a pipe elbow, and I can document that. So that's how pins are placed. And then that pin would stay there so I can go forward in time or back in time and see exactly where that point of interest was. Thank you, and that was our first example, which was the Ford Dearborn Central Energy Plant in Dearborn, Michigan.